This thing looks like a floating ghost. Almost invisible in the water with long trailing tentacles and a bell-shaped body as clear as glass. But the box jellyfish isn't just some delicate ocean wanderer. It's one of the most venomous creatures alive, and it doesn't need to chase you. You come to it. Found mostly in warm coastal waters of the Indo-Pacific, especially around northern Australia. The box jellyfish has a reputation that even sharks respect. What makes it terrifying isn't just the venom, it's how fast that venom works. Within seconds, it starts attacking the heart, nervous system, and skin. The pain is immediate and intense. Swimmers who've brushed against those tentacles describe it as being burned and shocked at the same time. Some even panic and lose consciousness in the water. That's how strong the sting is. Each box jellyfish has up to 60 tentacles, and they can reach almost 10 feet long. Lined with millions of tiny harpoons called nematocysts, they're triggered by the slightest touch. And here's the twist: this jellyfish can actually see you. It has 24 eyes grouped into clusters, and they're surprisingly complex for an animal with no brain. It doesn't float aimlessly. It moves with purpose, steering through shallow waters, sometimes near shorelines. There's no anti-venom that reverses the effects completely. Vinegar is often used to stop the venom from spreading further, and researchers have developed protective suits for divers and swimmers in high-risk areas. Locals know to shuffle their feet when walking in shallow water to avoid brushing into one. Despite its deadly ability, the box jellyfish is still being studied. Scientists are trying to understand how its venom works so fast and so specifically. Its tentacles can kill fish instantly, yet the jellyfish uses them with precision. It's not chaos, it's targeted. And for all the research, there's still no clear answer to how such a simple creature can deliver such complex biological effects. This is not your average creepy crawly. The giant centipede, known scientifically as Scolopendra gigantea, looks like it walked straight out of a horror movie, and it kind of did. Found in parts of South America and the Caribbean, this massive predator can grow over a foot long, and comes equipped with dozens of sharp legs, each tipped with hooks that help it grip its prey like a living grappling machine. And here's where it gets wild: this centipede hunts vertebrates. Not bugs, not worms. We're talking mice, frogs, lizards, even small birds and bats. It climbs cave walls to snatch prey mid-flight. What makes it so dangerous is its venom. Delivered through modified legs called forcipules, the venom quickly overwhelms the nervous system, paralyzing the target before it's devoured. This is pure muscle and venom in one slippery, armored body. It doesn't just inject poison, it holds on with terrifying strength, wrapping around its catch like a clamp. Scientists have studied its bite and found that the venom contains a complex cocktail of toxins that attack both nerve and muscle function. While not typically fatal to humans, the sting is extremely painful, often described as burning, stabbing, and cramping all at once. Even tough predators think twice before messing with it. The centipede's armor-like body and aggressive behavior make it a survivor. It's not afraid to defend itself, and yes, it's fast. Faster than you'd expect from something that slithers across the forest floor with dozens of twitching legs. This creature is a real-world version of something you'd expect to see in a sci-fi series like Stranger Things. It doesn't just exist, it thrives. And it reminds us that venom isn't limited to snakes and jellyfish. Sometimes it comes crawling. The inland taipan has the deadliest venom of any snake on Earth, but chances are you'll never meet one. This highly reclusive serpent lives in the remote, arid zones of Central Australia, far from towns and cities. It's shy, calm, and wants nothing to do with you. But if it did bite, the venom could end a life in under an hour. Just one bite from the inland taipan contains enough neurotoxin and myotoxin to kill dozens of humans. Its venom works with incredible efficiency, shutting down nerves, damaging muscles, and wrecking blood clotting systems. The effect is so fast and so severe that it has become the gold standard in venom research. Yet, despite its power, the inland taipan is not aggressive. It avoids confrontation, and almost no bites occur in the wild. In fact, nearly every recorded bite happened in controlled environments with professional handlers. This snake doesn't want to fight, it just wants to live. Its body is a dusty olive brown, blending perfectly with the dry clay and cracking soil of its desert home. And it's not just its venom that's efficient, the snake itself is a precision predator. It delivers multiple strikes in a flash, then waits while the venom does its work. What's most fascinating is how this snake evolved to be so toxic without being a threat to humans. Scientists still study how its venom interacts with different systems in the body. It's a biological weapon honed to perfection, yet wielded with restraint. It's like the mythical sword locked in a vault, unmatched in danger, rarely seen, and best left undisturbed. Don't let the colorful shell fool you. Cone snails are some of the most venomous creatures in the ocean, and they come armed. These marine snails, found in tropical waters around coral reefs, use a hollow tooth like a microscopic harpoon to inject venom. And when it hits hard. Each species of cone snail has a slightly different blend of toxins, but some, like Conus geographus, carry venom so potent it can shut down a person's entire nervous system. The harpoon tooth shoots out fast, almost like a dart, and once it hits, the snail reels the prey and using the same hollow needle paralyzing small fish, worms, or other snails within seconds. They move slowly like any snail would, but their hunting method is high-tech. One sting is enough to cause paralysis, respiratory failure, or worse, and there's no antivenom. Scientists call the venom conotoxin, and it's so powerful that researchers are studying it for use in developing new types of non-addictive pain relief. The shell itself is a collector's dream, patterned, vibrant, and perfect for display. But that beauty hides one of the most advanced biological weapons ever found in a mollusk. There have been real cases where beachgoers picked up cone snails, not knowing what they were handling, and ended up in critical condition. Cone snails don't chase or fight, they just sit and wait, like a sniper, calm, quiet, and lethal. It's the kind of creature that makes you rethink what danger in the ocean really looks like. It's small enough to sit on your palm. It doesn't move fast. And it doesn't look threatening unless you see those bright blue rings flashing across its skin. That's the warning sign, and you better take it seriously. The blue-ringed octopus, found in tide pools and coral reefs from Japan to Australia, is one of the most venomous animals in the sea. Its bite delivers a neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin, the same deadly compound found in pufferfish. The venom works by blocking nerve signals, causing muscle paralysis. Within minutes, it can lead to numbness, difficulty breathing, and in the most extreme cases, complete paralysis. Here's the catch: the bite is often painless. People sometimes don't even know they've been stung until symptoms start creeping in. What makes this octopus so incredible is how it hunts. It uses its venom to take down small crabs, shrimp, and even fish, paralyzing them instantly. Unlike many predators, it doesn't need strength or speed. It just grabs, bites, and waits. Its glowing blue rings aren't just for show, they're a built-in warning system, pulsing when the animal feels threatened. This is nature's version of a flashing hazard light. And yet, many swimmers and divers mistake it for a harmless creature and try to pick it up. Despite all this, the blue-ringed octopus isn't aggressive. It's shy, hides in crevices, and only flashes its rings when it feels cornered. But when it does strike, it reminds everyone that even the smallest creature can carry a massive punch. If this were a Marvel character, it'd be the one you never saw coming until it was too late. Tiny, mysterious, and almost unfairly powerful. Step on a rock in the shallows and you might just meet the most venomous fish in the world. The stonefish doesn't look like a predator. It looks like, well, a stone. With a body covered in bumps and algae-colored skin, it hides perfectly on the ocean floor, blending in with the sand, coral, and debris. But if you get too close or worse, step on it, you're in trouble. Lining its back are 13 sharp spines, each connected to venom glands. When pressure is applied, like from a human foot, the spines shoot up and inject a powerful toxin that causes intense pain and swelling. Some stings have led to serious medical emergencies. In rare cases, if untreated, it can escalate into a life-threatening situation. What really sets the stonefish apart is how hard it is to detect. Even experienced divers can miss it. It doesn't swim around looking for trouble, it lies in wait, still as stone, ambushing small fish and crustaceans with lightning-fast strikes. To defend against it, some coastal areas have developed protective footwear for swimmers, and hospitals near stonefish habitats often keep anti-venom on hand. Locals in high-risk areas learn quickly to shuffle their feet instead of stepping down to avoid pressing on anything that might suddenly sting. Scientists are still breaking down how the venom works so quickly and affects so many systems at once: heart, nerves, muscles. For such a slow, unassuming creature, it delivers a venom that's anything but lazy. This spider doesn't spin webs. It doesn't wait patiently in a corner. It wanders, hence the name, and it brings its venom with it. The Brazilian wandering spider is one of the most feared arachnids on the planet, not just for its size or aggression, but for what its bite can do. Found in South and Central America, this spider roams the forest floor at night, hunting insects, frogs, and even small rodents. It's not shy, it'll stand its ground when threatened, lifting its front legs in a defensive pose that's almost theatrical. And behind that show is one of the most potent venoms of any spider known. Its venom contains a neurotoxin that affects the nervous system, causing muscle spasms, breathing difficulty, and in some cases, temporary paralysis. What makes it so unusual and widely discussed is one specific side effect. It causes prolonged and painful side reactions in adult humans. So much so that it's been studied for use in medical research related to blood flow. The spider is large, fast, and often hides in places like shoes, piles of clothes, and even banana crates, earning it the nickname banana spider in some regions. But despite its fearsome reputation, serious bites are extremely rare. The spider usually delivers a warning bite with little venom, preferring to flee when possible. Scientists are fascinated by how the venom works. It's complex, affecting both the nervous and vascular systems. And while it's dangerous, it's also full of potential for future medicines. That's the strange duality of the Brazilian wandering spider. It terrifies, but it also inspires. If villains in superhero films were based on real animals, this spider would already have its own movie. The king cobra doesn't just look like royalty, it acts like it. Reaching up to 18 feet in length, it's the world's longest venomous snake and one of the most respected predators in the animal kingdom. When it raises its head, spreads its hood, and hisses loud enough to vibrate the air, most creatures, humans included, get the message: step back. But the king cobra isn't just about show. Its venom contains a powerful neurotoxin that shuts down the body's communication system. Nerves stop firing, muscles fail, and breathing can become nearly impossible. What makes this snake even more dangerous is the sheer volume of venom it can inject. A single bite delivers enough to take down an elephant-sized threat or several grown humans. Despite all this, the king cobra doesn't want conflict. It avoids populated areas and spends most of its life deep in forests, often in Southeast Asia. Its diet is just as elite as the name suggests. It prefers to eat other snakes, including venomous ones. That's right, this snake hunts snakes. And here's a twist: it's one of the few snakes that builds a nest. The female coils around her eggs, guarding them until they hatch, showing a level of care rarely seen in reptiles. The king cobra is more than a venomous reptile. It's a symbol of precision, power, and primal fear. Scientists continue to study its venom not just for its danger, but for its potential in creating medicines that affect pain and brain function. If nature had a throne room, this creature would be guarding it tall, unblinking, and absolutely in control. The pufferfish might look like a cartoon character: big eyes, round body, slow movements, but inside, it hides one of the most lethal toxins in the natural world. Known as tetrodotoxin, this venom is so potent that even a dose smaller than a pinhead can shut down the human nervous system. What's wild is that despite this danger, pufferfish are considered a delicacy in some cultures, especially in Japan, where specially trained chefs prepare the dish called fugu. These chefs train for years just to learn how to remove the poisonous parts safely, because one wrong cut, and the meal becomes a medical emergency. The toxin isn't produced by the fish itself, but by bacteria that live inside it. And unlike other venomous creatures that use their toxins for hunting, pufferfish rely on theirs for defense. When threatened, they inflate into a spiky ball, their final warning. There's no known antidote for tetrodotoxin. Treatment involves supporting breathing and heart function while the body tries to recover on its own. That's why the preparation of pufferfish is so tightly regulated, and why only certified chefs are allowed to serve it legally. Pufferfish are found all over the world, mostly in tropical and subtropical oceans, but some even live in freshwater. They come in all sizes, from small enough to fit in your palm to nearly 2 feet long. It's a creature that dares nature itself: cute, slow-moving, but secretly armed with one of the deadliest cocktails in the animal kingdom. This spider doesn't wait for trouble, it charges straight at it. The Sydney funnel web is not only one of the world's most venomous spiders, it's also one of the boldest. Native to Australia's eastern coast, this thick black spider prefers to fight rather than flee. And when it bites, it means it. Its fangs are strong enough to pierce fingernails or even soft shoes. But what's more concerning is the venom. It contains a compound that targets the human nervous system directly, causing symptoms like twitching muscles, breathing issues, and in some cases, serious neurological disruption. And it acts fast. In severe cases, symptoms can appear in minutes. What sets the Sydney funnel web apart is that its venom affects humans much more strongly than most other animals. Dogs, cats, and birds aren't nearly as vulnerable. That's led researchers to wonder, why are we such sensitive targets? Some scientists believe it's just a fluke of chemistry, one that's still not fully understood. These spiders live in burrows, often hidden under rocks, leaf litter, or garden debris. During rainy weather, they sometimes venture into homes, garages, or sheds, which is why locals know to shake out boots and check shoes before putting them on. Fortunately, an anti-venom exists and has been incredibly successful. Since it became available, there hasn't been a single confirmed fatality, a true scientific win. But that doesn't make the spider less terrifying when it raises its legs and charges with fangs bared. If a creature from a horror video game ever came to life, this would be it, armored, fast, and designed to hit hard. It may look like something you'd flick off your boot, but the Deathstalker scorpion is one of the most venomous arachnids on the planet. Found across desert regions of North Africa and the Middle East, this scorpion doesn't grow much larger than your index finger, yet its sting carries a toxin that can overwhelm the nervous system in minutes. Its venom is a complex mix of neurotoxins that cause extreme pain, muscle spasms, and in vulnerable individuals, serious medical complications. What makes the Deathstalker so dangerous is not just the power of its venom, but how frequently it comes into contact with people. It often hides in cracks, shoes, and under rocks, perfectly camouflaged by its yellowish body. Despite the risks, this scorpion's venom has drawn intense scientific interest. Components of it are being studied for use in cancer research and brain imaging, especially because some parts of the venom can target specific cells with incredible precision. That dual nature, deadly and medically promising, makes it one of the most researched arachnids in the world. Unlike larger, more intimidating scorpions, the Deathstalker relies on speed and surprise. It's a hit-and-run expert. One quick jab with the stinger and it's gone, leaving the victim scrambling to process what just happened. If this were a character in a spy thriller, it'd be the one carrying the smallest weapon, but with the most explosive result. The Komodo dragon doesn't breathe fire, but it might as well. This massive lizard, growing over 10 feet long and weighing more than 300 pounds, is not only the world's largest living reptile, but one of its most efficient predators. Found only on a few Indonesian islands, including Komodo, this animal has developed a hunting style that borders on myth. For years, people believed its bite was deadly due to bacteria in its mouth, but researchers have since discovered the real culprit: venom. The Komodo dragon's bite delivers a mix of toxins that lower blood pressure, thin the blood, and prevent clotting, essentially causing its prey to bleed out from the inside. Once bitten, an animal becomes weak, dizzy, and unable to run far. That's when the dragon slowly moves in. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need to. The venom does the hard work. This method allows the Komodo to take down prey much larger than itself, including deer, boar, and even water buffalo. Its jaw isn't built to chew, it's built to rip. The Komodo tears flesh and swallows chunks whole, sometimes consuming up to 80% of its body weight in one meal. Its sense of smell is so sharp, it can detect a dying animal from miles away. This creature is prehistoric in every sense armored scales, a tongue that flicks like a monitor screen glitch, and movements that combine brute force with calculation. It's not just a reptile, it's a throwback to a time when everything was bigger, stronger, and built to dominate. At the size of a fingernail, the Irukandji jellyfish doesn't seem like much of a threat. But this transparent jelly, found in the waters of northern Australia, causes one of the most bizarre and intense physical reactions known to science, a condition so overwhelming it's been given its own name: Irukandji syndrome. Victims of a sting often don't feel it at first, but within 20 to 40 minutes, a wave of symptoms begins. Full body pain, nausea, sweating, racing heart, and most notably, an overwhelming sense of doom. Not fear, a psychological certainty that something terrible is about to happen. That's not just panic. That's the venom directly affecting the nervous system and brain chemistry. The jellyfish itself is barely visible. Its body is nearly transparent, and its tentacles stretch out like threads in the water, invisible to swimmers. That's part of what makes it so dangerous. It can sting before anyone even sees it. What's even more fascinating is that scientists still don't fully understand how the venom produces such extreme mental and physical effects. Unlike other jellyfish venom, Irukandji toxins seem to tap into neurological pathways that create both pain and deep psychological responses. Despite its power, the jellyfish isn't aggressive. It drifts along with ocean currents, no faster than sea foam. But once it stings, the results are anything but subtle. If this creature were a plot device in a sci-fi film, It'd be the invisible force that causes chaos without leaving a trace. The platypus is already one of the strangest animals on Earth. It has the bill of a duck, the tail of a beaver, webbed feet, and it lays eggs despite being a mammal. But here's what most people don't know: it's venomous. The male platypus has sharp spurs on its hind legs that deliver venom strong enough to cause excruciating pain in humans. The sting doesn't kill, but it's been described as one of the most intense pains imaginable, swelling that lasts for days, followed by pain that can linger for weeks. Even strong painkillers don't always help. What's even more unusual is that only males produce the venom, and mainly during mating season. Scientists believe it's used to fight off rivals rather than hunt. The venom contains unique peptides that are still being analyzed for possible medical applications, including pain relief and infection control. Found only in Australia, the platypus spends much of its life underwater, hunting insects and crustaceans with its sensitive bill. It uses electroreception, the ability to detect tiny electric signals to locate prey in muddy water. No other mammal does this. With all its odd features, the platypus sometimes seems like a joke pulled by nature. But behind the quirky appearance is a sophisticated and finely tuned survivor, one that happens to be hiding a weapon in its leg. If animals were action figures, the platypus would come with unexpected bonus features, cute on the outside, full of surprises underneath.
At first glance, it looks harmless. Just another reddish-brown ant, about the size of a grain of rice. But this insect is armed with one of the most intense venoms in the ant world. It delivers a dose of venom so potent that drop for drop, it's stronger than a cobra's. Scientists studying its sting discovered that its venom contains a powerful mix of alkaloids and proteins designed to inflict pain and disrupt nerves. And here's where it gets eerie. The sting doesn't just hurt, it lingers. The pain can stretch on for hours, building into a deep burning ache that spreads from the site of the sting up the limb. Some people have described it as waves of electricity pulsing under the skin. It's not life-threatening in most cases, but it's definitely not something you'd want to feel twice. Harvester ants don't sting like bees or wasps. They bite and then pivot their bodies, jabbing their stinger over and over again into the same spot. It's like getting hit with a tiny, venomous sewing machine. One sting might be enough to cause swelling, redness, and that unforgettable burning sensation. Multiple stings, especially from a colony defending its home, can lead to serious reactions, including allergic responses in some people. You could be standing near a nest and not even realize it. Then with one wrong step, you're surrounded. The attack is fast, coordinated, and painful. Insects like this prove that size means nothing when it comes to danger. The harvester ant doesn't need wings or flashy colors to earn your respect. It just needs that one sting. It looks like a fuzzy toy, soft, silky, almost like a tiny pet curled up on a leaf. But this isn't something to pick up. It's one of the most venomous caterpillars in North America. The puss caterpillar hides its weaponry underneath that gentle-looking fur. Tucked between the hairs are sharp, venomous spines that break through the skin on contact. When someone brushes against one, the reaction is fast. A sharp sting hits first, followed by swelling, redness, and a burning sensation that intensifies by the minute. In some cases, the pain travels up the limb, spreading like wildfire. Victims often report nausea, sweating, and even chest discomfort. It's not rare for people to visit the emergency room, confused by how something so small and soft could cause that much pain. Found in southern states like Texas and Florida, this caterpillar feeds on oaks, elms, and other common trees. It doesn't chase or bite, it waits. And when a person accidentally brushes against it, those hidden spines sink in without warning. Removing them can be tricky, especially when they snap off in the skin. Doctors usually recommend using tape to pull out the fragments. Its deceptive appearance is part of the danger. Unlike wasps or spiders, which signal their threat through sharp colors or fangs, the puss caterpillar blends into the environment. It's silent. It doesn't move much. And that's exactly why people touch it. It's one of nature's most clever traps, a sting disguised as fluff. Now, shift focus to something that stings with numbers. Unlike the solitary sting of the puss caterpillar, the red imported fire ant operates as a unit. Disturb their mound, and within seconds, dozens, sometimes hundreds, will swarm up your legs and begin attacking in sync. They don't just sting once, they bite, hold on, and jab their stingers in a circular pattern. The result? Rows of burning stings that quickly develop into itchy, pus-filled blisters. These welts can last for days. Some people experience severe swelling and allergic reactions. The real danger comes from the sheer volume of stings. Fire ants don't retreat easily. They attack in waves, each sting delivering a tiny dose of venom called solanopsin, a substance that triggers burning, itching, and in some cases, allergic shock. Fire ants are especially dangerous to those who can't move quickly, like pets or people lying on the ground. What makes them even scarier is that they often attack without warning. You feel the sting before you even see them, and once they've locked onto a target, escaping without multiple stings is almost impossible. These insects don't rely on size or speed. Their power lies in teamwork, precision, and relentless aggression. It's over 2 inches long with orange and black armor and jaws strong enough to tear apart insects. When people first saw it in North America, headlines called it the murder hornet. Its real name is the Asian giant hornet, and while the nickname sounds dramatic, it earned it for a reason. These hornets don't just sting, they inject a venom that destroys tissue and causes deep burning pain. One sting might lead to swelling, redness, and intense discomfort, but multiple stings? That's where things escalate. Each sting delivers a complex venom loaded with neurotoxins and enzymes that break down cells. Some people report dizziness, fever, and difficulty breathing after a few stings. In rare cases, especially in sensitive individuals, the reaction can become serious. Unlike bees, they can sting over and over again. And if someone gets too close to their nest, these hornets defend it with speed and precision. They often aim for the face, neck, and arms, exposed areas where the pain is hardest to ignore. Their flight is fast, their movements unpredictable, and their sting feels like being stabbed with a red-hot needle. In Japan, they've been known to attack in groups. A single swarm can take down an entire colony of honeybees in a matter of hours. That reputation made them infamous worldwide when sightings were reported outside their native range. Despite the panic their name caused, experts stress that they don't seek conflict with humans. But if a person walks too close to their hidden nest, things can change fast. Loud buzzing, sudden movements, and then pain. Some call it the king of pain. Deep in the rainforests of Central and South America lives an ant that looks ordinary until it stings. The bullet ant doesn't rely on numbers or trickery. It walks up to the threat and unleashes a sting that's been ranked the most painful of any insect on Earth. The name bullet isn't just for show. Victims describe the sting as feeling like they've been shot. The pain is immediate, electric, and full body. It's not a quick sting either. The pain can last for up to 24 hours, with waves of burning and pulsing pain that move through the body. Some people report shaking, sweating, and even hallucinations from the sheer intensity of it. Its venom contains a powerful neurotoxin called ponerotoxin, which interferes with the body's ability to send pain signals properly. That's why the sting spreads so far from the original site. It doesn't just hurt, it controls the way nerves work. Bullet ants aren't aggressive unless threatened. They're usually climbing trees or searching the forest floor for food. But if someone disturbs their nest or grabs a branch they're on, they react instantly. And they don't stop with one sting. These ants hold on with their mandibles and sting repeatedly, injecting venom again and again. These are paper wasps, and while they usually keep to themselves, disturbing their territory is a fast track to trouble. These insects aren't aggressive by nature, but their sting can cause burning pain that leaves a mark both physically and mentally. When a paper wasp feels threatened, it delivers a sting that causes instant, sharp pain followed by redness and swelling. The venom contains enzymes and peptides that trigger inflammation and intense irritation. It's not just a little prick. People describe it as hot, throbbing, and persistent. In sensitive individuals, the reaction can include larger swelling and even short-term numbness. Paper wasps don't lose their stinger after attacking, which means they can strike more than once. And unlike bees, they often give a warning. They raise their legs and flutter their wings in a fast, jittery pattern. But many people miss these subtle signs and get too close, especially when nests are hidden in hard-to-see spots. Their reputation as garden guardians comes from their diet. They feed on caterpillars and other pests, helping to control populations naturally. But their calm presence can flip quickly if they feel their nest is in danger. That's when their defensive instincts kick in, and the sting becomes their weapon of choice. Quiet, precise, and armed with venom that burns. Paper wasps are a reminder that some of the most dangerous insects don't need to chase you down. They just need you to get too close. Africanized honeybees, often called killer bees, earned their nickname not because of stronger venom but because of how they attack. It's not the power of one sting, it's how many you might get before you can escape. When disturbed, these bees respond with overwhelming force. A single guard bee can trigger the whole hive. Within moments, dozens, sometimes hundreds, swarm the intruder. They follow for longer distances than typical honeybees, sometimes up to a quarter mile, and they target the head, eyes, and mouth with relentless speed. Each sting injects venom that's nearly the same as a regular bee, but the sheer volume turns a minor incident into a serious threat. The venom causes sharp pain, swelling, and burning at the sting sites. In large numbers, it can overwhelm the body's ability to respond. For people allergic to bee venom, even a small number of stings can be dangerous. These bees were bred from African and European species for increased honey production, but they escaped into the wild and spread rapidly through the Americas. Now, they're common in the southern United States and parts of Central America. Africanized bees are extremely sensitive to vibrations, movement, and even smells. Lawn equipment, pets, or footsteps near their hive can set them off. Their hives can be found in old tires, walls, or hidden cavities, places where people often don't expect danger. It doesn't fly, and it doesn't look especially threatening. But in the Australian wilderness, the jackjumper ant has built a reputation as one of the continent's most dangerous insects. Not because it's aggressive, but because its sting can trigger severe allergic reactions faster than almost any other insect in its class. These ants don't just bite, they jump. With powerful legs, they can launch themselves several inches into the air, closing the distance between them and the threat in a blink. Once in range, they sting quickly and with precision. Their venom is potent, made up of toxic peptides that attack the nervous system. For most people, a sting brings pain, redness, and swelling that may last for hours. But in some cases, the venom sets off a chain reaction in the immune system that can lead to anaphylaxis. That's what sets the jackjumper apart. It doesn't rely on overwhelming numbers or drawn-out attacks. It's the chemistry in its venom that makes it so dangerous. In certain parts of Tasmania, researchers have found that a significant percentage of the population is allergic to its sting, enough to cause concern across entire communities. Hospitals in those regions even stock specific anti-venom. Despite the danger, jackjumper ants don't look like trouble. They're sleek black ants with orange legs and mandibles, often found in dry, open woodlands. Their nests blend into the ground, and the ants go about their business unless disturbed. But once the nest is under threat, they don't hesitate. With shimmering blue-black wings and fiery orange antennae, the tarantula hawk wasp looks like it flew straight out of a sci-fi movie. But this insect isn't fiction, it's real. And it delivers one of the most painful stings known to science. Unlike some wasps, it's not aggressive toward humans, but if a person gets stung, they'll remember it. The pain is described as immediate and all-consuming. It's not sharp, it's not dull, it's a full-body jolt that stops a person in their tracks. Some researchers have called it a blinding pain that makes any other action impossible for a few minutes. Fortunately, it doesn't last long, usually less than 5 minutes. But those minutes can feel endless. Despite its terrifying sting, the tarantula hawk uses its venom for something even stranger. It paralyzes large spiders like tarantulas, drags them into a burrow, and lays a single egg on the still-living host. The spider remains alive, completely immobilized, while the larva slowly feeds. It's one of the more unsettling strategies in the insect world. Humans aren't its target. The tarantula hawk usually stings only in defense, but when it does, there's no mistaking it. The venom doesn't spread pain, it explodes with it. They can be seen in the deserts of the southwestern United States and Central America, moving slowly across the ground or buzzing through the air in search of their next spider host. Watching them from a distance is fine. Getting too close, that's when things go wrong. It looks like a fuzzy red ant marching through the grass, but don't be fooled, it's not an ant at all. The velvet ant, also known as the cow killer, is actually a species of wingless wasp. And while the name might sound exaggerated, the sting lives up to its reputation. People who felt it say it burns hotter than fire. Velvet ants are covered in dense, colorful hairs, usually bright red or orange with black markings. It's a warning signal, and for good reason. This insect doesn't sting to hunt, it stings to defend. The pain hits fast, sharp, and deep. It spreads through the skin like electricity, and the sensation can last for 30 minutes or more. It's not lethal to humans, but it's strong enough to stop anyone in their tracks. They roam alone, walking with purpose across open ground as they search for the underground nests of bees and wasps. That's where they lay their eggs, and their larvae feed on the host's young. It's a brutal strategy, but one that doesn't involve chasing or attacking humans, unless someone tries to pick them up or step too close. The nickname cow killer comes from old myths claiming that its sting could bring down livestock. That's not true. but it tells you everything about how painful the experience can be. Even experienced researchers have said this sting ranks near the top in terms of sheer intensity. They build nests underground, in walls and inside old furniture. They show up at summer barbecues, garbage cans, and picnic tables. Yellow jackets are one of the most familiar wasps in North America, and one of the most feared. They look like bees at first glance, but they're faster, more aggressive, and much more willing to sting. What makes yellow jackets dangerous is how easily they get provoked. Sudden movements, vibrations, or even smells can set them off. And once they attack, they go all in. They sting repeatedly, each time injecting venom that causes intense burning and swelling. People often describe the pain as sharp, stabbing, and immediate. For those who are allergic, even a few stings can trigger serious reactions. Unlike honeybees, yellow jackets don't lose their stinger. That means they can strike multiple times in rapid succession. Their nests often go unnoticed until it's too late, hidden in the ground, under porches, or inside walls. Accidentally stepping near one can lead to a fast and painful surprise. During late summer and early fall, yellow jackets become even more aggressive. Food becomes scarce, and they start showing up near sugary drinks and meats. That's when conflicts with humans spike. They don't fly away at the first sign of trouble, they circle, they chase, and when they sting, they keep coming. Closely resembling an oversized version of the Toxorhinchites mosquito, this species is rarely seen and even more rarely documented. Known in local reports from remote jungle regions, it's said to deliver a sting that goes beyond just drawing blood. The venom causes severe swelling, clusters of red blisters, and intense itching that can last for days. The image shows the damage clearly: raised lesions, inflamed skin, and spreading irritation. Locals describe the sensation as burning from the inside, often followed by fatigue or fever. While sightings are rare, encounters with this insect are unforgettable, and often avoided at all costs. It shimmers in the sunlight like living metal, bright blue, electric green, or deep violet depending on the angle. Known as the blue ant, this creature is neither an ant nor harmless. It's actually a wingless female wasp, and it carries a sting that delivers real shock to anyone who gets too close. Found mostly in Australia, this insect has earned a reputation for both beauty and danger. The sting of the blue ant causes intense, immediate pain, often described as sharp and hot, with burning that spreads across the affected area. Some people experience lingering discomfort that lasts for hours, along with swelling and redness. While not fatal, it's strong enough to send victims to the hospital, especially those who react badly to insect venom. Blue ants are solitary. The females walk through grassy areas in search of underground nests of beetle larvae, which they parasitize by laying eggs. They're not aggressive, but they defend themselves with precision. Their bright coloration isn't just pretty, it's a visual warning. One sting is enough to teach that lesson. They're rarely seen in groups and don't build visible nests. That makes them unpredictable. You might spot one wandering across a hiking trail or resting on a plant, an unexpected encounter with something that looks like a jewel but stings like fire. In Australia's vast and wild insect world, the blue ant proves that even the most beautiful things can carry a brutal surprise. This insect doesn't bite, it doesn't sting. It just lands, and if it's crushed or even lightly handled, it releases a toxic chemical that can turn human skin into a battlefield. Blister beetles are slow, almost clumsy, and often mistaken for harmless bugs. But they carry cantharidin, a chemical so powerful that just a trace can cause severe blistering. The reaction is fast. After contact, the skin starts to redden, then form painful blisters that can take days to heal. In some cases, the irritation spreads beyond the initial site. Eyes, if exposed, can suffer serious damage. And worse, if cantharidin is accidentally ingested by contaminated hands, food, or water, it can lead to gastrointestinal distress and even kidney damage. Farmers have long feared blister beetles because even a few crushed insects mixed into hay can poison livestock. Yet they're still out there, wandering gardens, fields, and even backyards during warmer months. Their colors vary: orange, red, black, or metallic, but the danger remains the same. They don't chase or attack, but their passive defense is one of the most dangerous in the insect world. A single misstep, brushing one off with bare skin or trapping it against your body, can trigger a painful reaction that no one sees coming. In a world full of stingers and biters, the blister beetle stands out by doing damage, without ever meaning to. It drums on wood with its wings, sending vibrations through the air, a warning to anything that gets too close. This is the warrior wasp, and it doesn't bluff. Native to Central and South America, it's earned its title as one of the most feared stingers in the insect world. Some experts say its sting might even rival that of the bullet ant. And that's saying a lot. The pain comes in waves. People who've been stung describe it as hot, pulsing, and deep. It doesn't just hurt, it lingers, radiating through muscles and joints. For some, the sting causes temporary paralysis in the affected area, along with nausea and sweating. One sting is enough to make most people back away. But this wasp can sting multiple times, and when defending its nest, it doesn't hold back. Warrior wasps build their nests in trees, hanging them like paper lanterns. Their colonies are highly defensive and respond to threats with full-force group attacks. The drumming behavior is their first move. If that doesn't work, they launch. Their sleek black bodies and aggressive flight patterns make them easy to recognize once you've seen one, and impossible to forget after a sting. They don't look deadly at first, small, slender, often hiding under leaves or bark. But assassin bugs don't need size to make an impact. These insects use a sharp, needle-like mouthpart to pierce the skin, and then they inject a venom that starts digesting tissue almost immediately. Their bite is designed for speed and silence. When an assassin bug strikes, the pain is sharp and localized. Swelling follows, and in some cases the skin becomes red, hot, and sore for days. But it's what comes with the bite that makes them especially dangerous. In parts of Central and South America, some species carry Trypanosoma cruzi, the parasite responsible for Chagas disease. While not every assassin bug is a carrier, the risk is real, and long-term consequences can include damage to the heart and digestive system. They're called kissing bugs when they feed near the mouth or eyes at night. The name sounds innocent, but there's nothing gentle about it. They feed on blood, often while the person sleeps, and the bite site can go unnoticed until irritation or illness sets in. It looks like something out of science fiction, long, green, metallic, and slow-moving. Megacrania botsii, known as the peppermint stick insect, is more than just a walking leaf. When threatened, it doesn't bite or sting. Instead, it turns its head and sprays a fine mist of chemical repellent right at its attacker's face. The liquid smells like peppermint at first, but don't let that fool you. If it hits the eyes or mucous membranes, it can cause burning, temporary blindness, or strong irritation. The reaction is intense enough to send predators, both insect and vertebrate, running. Even humans report stinging eyes and skin discomfort if they get sprayed at close range. Found in northern Australia and parts of Papua New Guinea, this stick insect lives among pandanus plants, blending perfectly with its surroundings. Its defense is passive until provoked, then it fires. The bug is flightless, slow, and not built for combat. But its defense system makes up for it. The chemical cocktail it produces is rare among insects. An evolved precision weapon, stored in its thorax, pressurized and ready to fire. Unlike many insects that rely on speed or sting, this one uses chemistry with shocking success.
In the final year of World War I, as soldiers fought in trenches and borders shifted across continents, a completely different enemy began its silent invasion. It didn't carry a gun or wear a uniform. It traveled on trains, ships, and through coughing fits. The Spanish flu, caused by an unusually aggressive strain of the H1N1 influenza virus, became one of the deadliest pandemics the world has ever seen, moving faster and deadlier than anyone could have imagined. What made this virus so terrifying wasn't just its reach, it was its speed and unpredictability. It didn't just take hold in hospitals or on battlefields. It showed up in healthy towns, military bases, and crowded cities, sweeping through populations in waves. In some cases, people were reported to feel fine in the morning and collapse by evening. Entire communities shut down as the virus spread like wildfire. Unlike most flu outbreaks, which hit the very old or very young hardest, this one turned that pattern upside down. Many of the victims were young adults, people in the prime of their lives. Scientists still study why this happened, and one of the theories is that the virus triggered something like a biological overreaction in stronger immune systems, causing more harm than good. The pandemic didn't just strain hospitals, it overwhelmed them. In cities like Philadelphia and San Francisco, emergency care facilities were set up in schools and churches. At one point, people were even advised to avoid shaking hands and to wear cloth masks in public, much like we saw during recent global events. Streets fell quiet, businesses closed their doors, and daily life paused. The virus didn't last forever. By the time it faded away, it had infected an estimated third of the planet's population. The death toll ran into the tens of millions. What made it even more shocking was how little science could do at the time to stop it. There were no antiviral treatments, no vaccines, and little understanding of how viruses worked. Today, the 1918 Spanish flu remains a benchmark. It showed just how quickly a virus can travel, how society reacts under pressure, and how fragile things become when medicine can't keep up. Decades later, it's still a warning, a sharp reminder that even without modern weapons, a microscopic threat can paralyze the world. Long before modern vaccines and global health networks, one virus ruled with absolute fear: smallpox. It didn't hide quietly or strike in secret. It showed itself boldly, through fevers, blisters, and scars that could last a lifetime. For centuries, it was the most feared disease on Earth. In some outbreaks, it seemed like no one was safe. Not kings, not explorers, not entire villages. Once it arrived, it didn't ask questions. It stayed until there was nothing left to infect. This wasn't a rare virus that popped up now and then. Smallpox was everywhere, moving across continents, on ships, in markets, even through royal courts. And it left behind more than illness. Survivors often carried deep, visible marks on their faces, a reminder of the fight they barely won. In fact, the term pockmarked comes directly from these scars. At its peak, smallpox was so deadly that in some regions, it claimed more lives than war or famine. And it wasn't just the numbers, it was the raw speed and severity. Entire towns were quarantined. In extreme situations, those infected were locked in protective suits like the one you see in that eerie photo with the chained figure. Yes, that's from a real isolation ward during a major outbreak. What made smallpox particularly ruthless was how it spread. It didn't need an animal carrier or tropical climate. Just one infected person in a crowd, a breath, a shared item. And the countdown began. The virus could cling to clothes, bedding, even paper. That's why it was nearly impossible to contain without strict isolation. But here's the twist. Smallpox is also one of humanity's greatest success stories. After decades of coordinated global vaccination efforts, the virus was declared eradicated in 1980. It's the only human disease we've ever wiped out completely. Scientists used a focused strategy, tracing every single case, vaccinating surrounding communities, and not stopping until every last chain of infection was broken. Even now, samples of the virus are kept under heavy security in just 2 places on the planet. One in the United States, one in Russia. Why? Because even in a world full of new threats, smallpox still holds the title as the ultimate biohazard. It's a reminder of what we once faced, what we overcame, and what could return if we ever let our guard down. There's a reason rabies has been feared for thousands of years. It's one of the oldest known viruses in human history, mentioned in ancient texts from Greece and Mesopotamia. And even today, it remains one of the most lethal. Once symptoms start, survival is nearly impossible. It doesn't matter where you live or how strong your body is. If rabies reaches the brain, there's usually no turning back. This virus doesn't spread through the air or mosquito bites. It takes a more personal route, through the bite or saliva of an infected animal, usually dogs or wild creatures like raccoons and bats. That's where it hides, waiting for a chance to slip into the nervous system. And when it does, it moves fast. The infection travels up the nerves, bypassing the body's usual defenses, heading straight to the brain. Once it gets there, the symptoms are bizarre and terrifying. Confusion, hallucinations, muscle spasms, and an intense fear of water. These symptoms aren't just dangerous, they're unmistakable. This is why rabies inspired so many myths over the centuries, from werewolves to demonic possession. And yet there's a strange twist. Rabies is also one of the most preventable viral infections. If treated early enough, before symptoms appear, a series of protective shots can completely stop it. That's why medical response is a race against time. The moment a bite occurs, the countdown begins. What's wild is that despite modern medicine, rabies still exists in over 150 countries. In rural regions where access to vaccines and immediate care is limited, the virus continues to lurk. But in places where prevention is routine, like pet vaccinations and awareness campaigns, cases have dropped dramatically. There was a time when doctors wore metal masks to avoid infection while treating patients, like the image from early vaccine centers where the line between science and fear blurred. Rabies was untouchable. Today, it's treatable, if you act fast. Rabies isn't loud like some other viruses. It doesn't cause massive outbreaks, but it's a one-shot deal. You either stop it early or it wins, and that makes it one of the deadliest infections ever known to science. When HIV first appeared on the global radar in the early 1980s, it confused scientists and terrified the public. People were getting sick with strange infections, and no one understood why. What followed was a wave of fear, misinformation, and silence. But underneath it all was a virus that didn't explode into public spaces. It spread quietly, person to person, often without symptoms for years. HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, is incredibly smart in how it operates. Instead of attacking the body directly, it targets the very cells meant to protect it, specifically CD4 immune cells. It weakens the immune system from the inside, opening the door to other infections. And because symptoms can take years to appear, many people don't even know they're infected. What makes HIV especially dangerous is its persistence. It integrates into the body's cells, hiding and multiplying. Unlike many viruses that run their course in days or weeks, HIV sticks around unless treated. If left unchecked, it can lead to AIDS, a condition where the immune system becomes so weak that even a common cold can turn serious. But there's another side to this story, one of progress. Over the years, science has changed the game. Through careful research and global cooperation, what was once considered a death sentence is now a manageable condition for millions. Antiviral therapy today helps people with HIV live long, healthy lives. It's not a cure, but it's a massive step forward. Still, this virus hasn't disappeared. It continues to spread in many regions, especially where healthcare access is limited. That's why education, testing, and prevention matter so much. Tools like rapid tests and protective strategies have made a real difference. HIV didn't just change medicine, it changed society. It taught the world about global health, about compassion, and about how science can turn fear into hope. And even though the fight isn't over, we now have something we didn't in the beginning: control. It started quietly with a few unexplained cases in a market. No one expected the ripples from one cluster to reach every corner of the planet. But COVID-19 didn't spread like anything the modern world had faced. It moved fast, it moved silently, and it changed everything: how we live, how we work, how we interact. COVID-19 is caused by a coronavirus known as SARS-CoV-2. Coronaviruses aren't new. They're responsible for some common colds and even earlier outbreaks like SARS in 2003. But this one had a new edge. It spread efficiently from person to person, even before symptoms showed. And because it was new, no one had immunity. That's what made it dangerous. From empty highways in Los Angeles to deserted cafes in Rome, the world paused. It wasn't just about the symptoms, which ranged from fever and fatigue to respiratory distress. It was the scale. Hospitals became overwhelmed. Air travel halted. Everyday routines vanished. Suddenly, video calls replaced classrooms. Grocery trips felt like missions, and simple things like hugging became risky. Despite this, the global response was historic. In record time, scientists developed vaccines. Healthcare systems adapted. Entire cities learned how to function with masks, distancing, and sanitizers. People built routines out of uncertainty. The virus didn't vanish, but control became possible. One of the most fascinating facts: the virus constantly evolved. New variants emerged, each with slight changes, pushing science and policy to keep up. That's why COVID-19 became more than a disease. It became a marathon of adaptation. Even now, the effects linger. Some people experience long-term symptoms. Businesses changed forever. And the way we think about public health will never be the same. COVID-19 wasn't just a pandemic. It was a turning point. It showed how connected we all are and how fragile normal life can be when nature shifts gears. Marburg virus doesn't make headlines often, but when it does, it grabs attention fast. Known for causing hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola, this virus first appeared in 1967 in Europe, not Africa, during lab experiments using monkeys imported from Uganda. That outbreak stunned researchers, killing lab workers in a matter of days. What makes Marburg so frightening is its extreme aggression. After a short incubation, the virus attacks the body's blood vessels. Victims develop severe internal bleeding, fever, and shock. In some cases, organs begin to shut down rapidly. The virus doesn't leave much time to react. Unlike respiratory viruses, Marburg spreads through direct contact with body fluids or contaminated surfaces. That means healthcare workers and caregivers face the highest risk. Protective suits, isolation protocols, and rapid response units are essential when cases appear. Its natural host is believed to be the Egyptian fruit bat. These bats carry the virus without falling ill, and in specific conditions, the virus spills over into humans usually through cave exploration or animal handling. From there, it can leap between people if not quickly contained. One of the most unsettling outbreaks occurred in Angola in the early 2000s. The response was swift but brutal. Entire areas were locked down, and medical staff wore full hazmat suits as they worked to stop the spread. It's a scene that looks more like a sci-fi movie than real life. Marburg doesn't spread as easily as the flu, but its fatality rate can reach over 80%. That's why every single case is treated like a public health emergency. Even a single infection can set off alarms across countries. It's rare, but that's what makes it feel like a ticking clock. Whenever someone new gets infected, there's a rush to trace contacts, isolate cases, and seal the cracks before the virus escapes. It hasn't gone global, but it only needs one chance. If there's one virus that sends a chill down the spine just by name, it's Ebola. It first appeared in 1976 in a small village near the Ebola River, in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Within weeks, it had taken out most of the village. The symptoms were unlike anything most doctors had seen: high fevers, severe bleeding, and sudden collapse. Ebola doesn't spread easily through the air. It requires close contact with blood, secretions, or contaminated materials. But when it spreads, it moves like a wildfire through close-knit communities, especially where healthcare resources are limited. Its fatality rate can reach up to 90% in some outbreaks. That alone gives it a reputation as one of the deadliest pathogens on the planet. When it hits, entire hospitals shut down, families isolate themselves, and the world watches closely for any sign of it crossing borders. What gives Ebola its power isn't just the symptoms, it's the fear. People hesitate to seek treatment, worried about isolation. Misinformation can spread faster than the virus itself. That's why communication and trust are just as important as vaccines and isolation wards. The virus likely comes from fruit bats, which are natural carriers. Sometimes it enters through contact with infected wildlife. From there, it takes only a single person to pass it on. Health workers wear full-body protective suits to avoid any exposure. In recent years, advances in vaccines have provided hope. During major outbreaks in West Africa, and again in the Congo, experimental vaccines and fast response teams made a real difference. But outbreaks still happen, and every time it's a race against time to contain them. Ebola is a reminder that even today, viruses can still bring societies to the edge. It's a challenge that keeps health officials alert and communities resilient. With the right response, we can stop it in its tracks, but only if we act fast. Nipah isn't as well known as some other viruses, but that doesn't make it less dangerous. First discovered in Malaysia in the late 1990s, this virus has since shown up in India and Bangladesh with deadly results. What makes Nipah so frightening is how fast it acts and how severe the symptoms can be. This virus jumps from animals to humans, specifically from fruit bats. These flying mammals are natural carriers, and they can shed the virus through saliva, urine, or leftover fruit. In some cases, pigs have also acted as intermediate hosts, but the real concern starts when it reaches people. Once inside the body, Nipah can cause a range of symptoms, from fever and drowsiness to severe brain swelling. In some outbreaks, patients developed encephalitis, an inflammation of the brain, leading to confusion, seizures, and in many cases, coma. The fatality rate has reached up to 75% in certain regions. What sets Nipah apart is its potential for human-to-human transmission, especially in healthcare settings. That's why doctors and nurses in outbreak zones wear full protective gear. The virus doesn't spread easily through the air, but close contact makes it a real risk for those providing care. There's no approved treatment or vaccine, which puts a heavy focus on prevention, limiting contact with bats, avoiding fruit that may have been exposed, and responding fast to any suspected cases. Nipah is a textbook example of how a virus can jump from the natural world to humans in the blink of an eye. It's also a reminder that sometimes the scariest viruses are the ones we hear about the least. Zika flew under the radar for decades. It was discovered back in the 1940s in Uganda, but for years it seemed relatively harmless. That changed dramatically when the virus spread across South America and beyond. Suddenly, Zika was everywhere, and it had a devastating twist. The virus spreads through the bite of the Aedes mosquito, the same one that carries dengue and yellow fever. Once infected, most people don't even notice. Symptoms are usually mild: fever, rash, joint pain. But the real danger lies in what Zika can do during pregnancy. When transmitted to a pregnant woman, the virus can interfere with fetal development. It's this link that stunned scientists and brought global attention to Zika. Entire neighborhoods in Brazil and other countries were sprayed, monitored, and studied. Public health agencies launched rapid campaigns to warn people and reduce mosquito populations. In areas hit hardest, authorities urged people to take extra precautions against mosquito bites. Nets, repellents, and even urban cleanup programs became essential tools in the fight. The The focus wasn't just on treating illness, it was about preventing transmission before it even began. Zika reminds the world that not every virus announces itself with loud symptoms or mass outbreaks. Sometimes it's the quiet ones that can change lives the most. With no widely available vaccine yet, prevention remains the best defense. And wherever Aedes mosquitoes thrive, Zika is never far away. Before the world knew about COVID-19, there was SARS. In 2003, this coronavirus erupted in Asia and quickly caught the world off guard. It started with a few cases of pneumonia in southern China, but it soon jumped to Hong Kong, Canada, and over 24 other countries. SARS stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. The virus behind it, a type of coronavirus, spread primarily through close contact and respiratory droplets. What made it so dangerous wasn't just the illness. It was the fact that healthcare workers, families, and travelers were all vulnerable before anyone understood how serious it was. Hospitals scrambled to isolate patients. Entire floors were shut down. Some cities like Toronto and Singapore went into lockdown. Medical staff wore heavy protective gear, and temperature checks became the norm at airports and public buildings. What's striking is how the world responded. International health systems worked together, sharing data, tracking cases, and learning in real time. By the time the outbreak ended, SARS had infected over 8,000 people and caused hundreds of deaths. But it also left a blueprint for future pandemics. SARS didn't become a global disaster like COVID-19, but it came close. It showed how quickly coronaviruses can jump across borders. It also proved that fast containment, early warnings, and global cooperation can change the outcome. SARS was the preview. And when the next coronavirus came knocking, the world had a head start, thanks to the lessons learned from this silent storm. Lassa fever doesn't get much attention outside West Africa, but for the people living there, it's a constant concern. This virus is carried by a common rodent, the multi-mammat rat, which often shares food and living spaces with humans. And when these rats leave behind droppings or urine, the virus can spread fast. Infection happens when people come into contact with contaminated food or surfaces, or even inhale particles stirred up by everyday activities like sweeping. Once inside the body, Lassa fever can trigger a range of symptoms, some mild, others dangerously severe. In certain cases, it affects the liver and other organs, leading to internal bleeding and shock. The virus isn't airborne in the traditional sense, but human-to-human transmission is possible, especially in hospitals. That's why medical staff are trained to act quickly and use proper protective measures. Lassa doesn't spread like wildfire, but in the right conditions, it can trigger deadly clusters of infection. The problem? Many cases go undiagnosed. Lassa fever can look like malaria or typhoid, making it harder to spot early. That delay gives the virus a chance to move silently through communities. Efforts are growing to improve testing and awareness, but the virus still resurfaces regularly. Lassa is a reminder that not all deadly viruses make the headlines. Some wait quietly in the background, flaring up without warning. And as long as the conditions for transmission remain, the threat stays alive. MERS, short for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, is another coronavirus with a serious reputation. First identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012, this virus jumped to humans through camels. It sounds unusual, but in parts of the world, close contact with camels through farming, racing, or trade is part of daily life. MERS doesn't spread easily between people, but when it does, especially in hospitals, the consequences can be severe. The virus causes fever, cough, and respiratory failure in many cases. Some patients develop pneumonia and others quickly need intensive care. The fatality rate? Around 30%, one of the highest for any known coronavirus. Outbreaks have mostly been limited to the Middle East and South Korea, where one traveler sparked a hospital-based chain of cases. What made MERS dangerous wasn't just its symptoms, it was how easily it spread in enclosed settings. One infected person could expose dozens of people before even realizing they were sick. Camels remain the key to understanding how this virus persists. While most camels show no signs of illness, they can carry MERS for long periods. Researchers continue to monitor herds and test new vaccines to block future transmission. MERS didn't become a pandemic, but it gave the world another warning about the power of coronaviruses to surprise and spread. And in areas where humans and animals live side by side, it's a constant reminder that even the most unlikely sources can hide a serious threat. That's about it. What was the most serious illness you had? Write in the comments, and don't forget to check out our other videos.